He's like, what was that?
Okay, 7 o'clock is on the April District 244 board meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any additions or changes to the agenda? Here today, we'll move on to consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Everyone's logged in with both of our computers. Motion passes 7-0. Move into recognitions for student recognition. Right on time.
There we go. Perfect. Yes. I'm going to turn this over to Dave Watkins for this because Doug's not here today. He's not feeling well. So, Dave and Stacy, I guess, well, you got it.
So, I'm not nearly as well spoken as Doug, so he sent me something. Okay, we'd like to recognize, and we had 6 individuals, 4 girls, 2 boys qualify for the state wrestling tournament. I'm gonna have the ones that we have here stand, please. With our boys program, we had Owen McManus at 145 pounds and Brock Zimmerman, who's with us this evening, at 182 pounds. Both of them wrestled very well. Didn't quite make the medal stand, but again, very proud of them. In our girls, we took the most girls we've ever taken to state this year. We had 4 girls qualify at 115 pounds. Olivia Lyons, who is not with us, at 191 pounds. Johanna Carrasco, and she is actually at softball tonight. And then I'm going to have these 2 young ladies step forward. First, Aylin Raynor. At 109 pounds. Aylin was 5th place. She is a 2-time state placer and cracked the 100 win barrier, correct?
Yes.
Cracked the 100 win barrier this year. And then MJ Huff. MJ was 2nd place, a 2-time state placer, and the first ever girls finalist for Burlington Lady Camp Wrestling. And again, she also broke through the 100 win mark this year. So 2 fantastic ladies, and Brock was a great representation for our boys team. They've been a joy to watch. I know Mr. Reed and I have enjoyed watching these kids wrestle. They've been fantastic, great ambassadors for the sport, and we'd like to redshirt them, but
Come on.
so, congratulations.
And we need to get a picture of them maybe in front of the cat over at the other side. That'd be a great spot, I think.
Come on, let's go get
Yes. Parents,
And
you
girls,
guys
I just
can.
thank you for being like champions of the sport.
Yes,
Like,
thank
the
you,
way
thank
for
you.
other girls.
Yes.
Any public comments sign up? No? Didn't see any written communications? Nothing else? Move on to admin reports, starting with BES. Any questions or comments for Darla?
I feel left out now that I don't have a kid in elementary school and I'm not following all along on the one book, one school, so.
This was a really fun year because
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
I just drove about 5 books, you know, like the first book I thought was going to be look like I took home.
Yeah.
Amy had been subbing at the school and she's like, Mommy, do that book. And I said, I've been looking at it for one school and she goes, that's not gonna work because Miss Basil was reading it today in 4th grade. So that was out. So I kept reading the book, reading the books, and I mean, like last year when I picked the main word, because I knew right away that was the book. So this year it's like, you know, this one's a little bit shorter, it's probably a little bit lower level, a little more engaging maybe for the kids. And I told the staff, like, we'll try, I don't know if anybody's gonna like it. It's really actually probably one of the most popular books that we've done, and it was an older book, but it was a story of a squirrel that gets loose in the school and goes from room to room to room, and so like another pet gets in on it and gets in on it, so it was super fun.
Yeah, next year I'll have to just
I'll
get the
get-
book,
yeah,
because
I'll
I was
get
like,
it.
this is the first time I haven't had a kid in elementary school and I feel left out.
To the point that
My kid, we do the daily trivia, and it's just so awesome if you're in our building when it's trivia time, because Darla goes on the loudspeaker and she'll say, guess what time it is, and it doesn't matter where it is, you can hear the kids go, it's trivia time!
That's awesome.
To the point that my kid wants the other 2 books in the sequence.
I see, that's what.
So that's what he's
all
getting for,
about.
yeah, that's what he's getting for Easter, so.
Exactly what we want.
How many came to kindergarten roundup?
We had 50 signed up, and probably 45 attended, so.
I saw someone put on Facebook, when's kindergarten roundup? And they're like, it was today. I was like, that poor parent.
Oh,
They missed it.
They must not have showed up for their appointment. We had, I think, about 5 that didn't make their appointment, so.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Move on to middle school. I heard some good things about League Band. My sister
It was
came down
excellent. And Mr. Bostic's band teacher herself was there, was the
there.
opportunity, which was really cool.
That is very cool.
That's awesome.
So, kids did very, very well.
Any other questions or comments for middle school? Now, we'll move on to high school report.
I guess I'd just tell you guys, thank you for the, ability to put the, weight room together. If you noticed, I put a list of all the kids that went to their first, weightlifting competition. And I put a bunch of kids in there for you guys to at least notice that that is something I think is kind of up and going, and Mr. Reed's done a really good job of getting that going, and thank you guys for what you've done. There's some other things I put in there, but I know you guys see a lot of that stuff as well. I do have somebody that I want to recognize tonight, and it's not even a student. I want to recognize Tom Burris. He's our custodian. He brought in a lanyard with some money, about $130, and said, Mr. Reed, somebody's lost this. He knew it was in the locker room and stuff, didn't know where it was at. Nobody came forward, and I decided I better just get on the announcements and say, can you identify this before you get it? And didn't say anything about the money, but Mr. Burris came forward with $100 and some. That shows you how good that is to have somebody like that. And I just was thinking about that today, because they don't get recognized a lot, and those guys are doing a lot of things and taking care of kids, and we found somebody with that got the money, so I teased him. I said, well, that'll go in our retirement party here, but we did find that, so I'm awful proud of that kind of stuff when people come forward and do that kind of thing. So I think that kind of money, and I talked to the girl about it, and I said, didn't you even think to come to the office and ask? I think she was just scared she was afraid that she lost it, wasn't never gonna find it. So pretty proud of Tom for doing that, so I was thinking about that.
And move on to special ed report.
2 administrators that said that they'd be interested in going, and Mr. Sprague and Mrs. Grover actually reached out to her as well, so it's pretty exciting. And then our school psychs will all go for sure. But that's in November, but we're glad that we're returning to some face-to-face stuff, because we've been zoomed out for a while, so we zone out pretty easy, so, and faces gonna be nice, but, started getting reports back on who's planning on returning from a para standpoint, so we'll be looking at real numbers of what we're gonna need staffing wise for next year, so.
Have you had anybody apply for this speech pouch on?
No,
We haven't had any for the industrial arts or the business at this point. So I've re-put it out and did some things like that, so we're still very hopeful.
Okay, any other questions for special ed report? George Lee? Move on to technology report.
You have some information there from Doug. If you have questions, you can feel free to let me know. And it can be now, or it can be like in the next few weeks. We'll make sure that we get those answered for you. He does have the capital outlay, the tech capital outlay summary of some things that they're looking at doing, and I think, again, I'll be looking for approval at the May board meeting on some of those items, if I can remember correctly. So anyway, that information there, please look it over, and if you have questions, pop up, email Doug or email me, and or call me or Doug, and we'll be happy to answer those questions.
It's the last school for security camera install. You guys got yours last year, year before?
Yeah, we got ours this fall.
And, oh,
They've been very beneficial
okay.
at times.
I assume he meant to say.
Because middle school kids don't always
Because it says middle
see
school.
what's going on.
Yeah, it's us.
It should be elementary there, yes.
I've seen it.
Because we are. Yeah, we're looking at that. That's the last frontier. And those can be, I'm gonna say, if certain things transpire, they can be moved off-site, they can be taken down, and we can relocate, repurpose those. So it's not set, once it's set in stone.
This one looks like 14 new line boards. So you can talk about those.
14 more, yeah.
Yes. And I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, we're down to like under, like around about 5% left after we do this summer, about 5% or less.
I think it's down to specials and special ed rooms, we talked about it,
Right.
is what I think when he talked to me about it.
That's what I understood too. So we're down to like less than 5% in all buildings of having new lines everywhere, which is great.
It looks like the number is comparable to the past decade or two.
Correct, and some of those bids, again, they'll firm up once we actually go to bid. We're hoping that we've estimated versus Doug is hoping that he's estimated a little high. That number might even be down a little bit. Again, it just all depends. In our world today, we're not sure if it's gonna go a little higher or a little lower. We're not sure, but it's in that ballpark. It's definitely in that range of acceptable number in dollar amounts.
Any other questions or comments on technology report for now? We'll hear more next month when we approve the assembly or look at bids. Move on to superintendent's report.
Well, the first item I talked to, just put down there, and then, I was kind of late with my report, putting it out Friday, because I was hoping for some information, didn't get it, and then once I put my report out to you guys, on Word docs, that's when I got a document. There is a document there, and you guys can look it over, in regards to, the softball field and turf and possible drainage projects, a project, I should say, that can be done. There, again, you guys asked for numbers as far as dollar amounts for what the infield and warning track would be on softball, infield and warning track for baseball. And there's an alternate on the softball that shows if you're doing the drainage work. So anyway, having said that, just it would allow the field to stay in natural grass, natural dirt, but it's the drainage piece that they're gonna have to come in and move a lot of earth, drain tile, you get the idea, pipes, and it's a real project. So that's in that document, like I said, I got later. I want you guys to have a chance to look this over and then ask questions. So really don't wanna discuss it a whole lot tonight, because I mean, we just did get it Friday, and that's a short turnaround for you guys to have that. And so I want you guys to look it over and then talk to me about anything that you guys might have. And we'll discuss it, next month. If we do an approval of some sort potentially next month, it could be touch and go, whether it could be something that could be done when we're talking about end of July, August, September, and into October. Just depends on what Mammoth Turf Company has on their project list, as far as the things that they have, their projects that they would do. So anyway, again, I want you guys to look that over carefully, and we'll talk more later next month, and you guys can be talking to me throughout this next month before the May board meeting. The second item.
One question on
Go-
just the
yes.
baseball, I just wanted,
Okay.
so the baseball one was it wasn't the infield, that was just for the,
That would be infield, baseball infield, and the warning track
just the
around it.
track, not
Yeah.
the grass in the outfield?
Correct.
Okay,
So
that's all I
basically,
just wanted to know.
good question. Basically, if we were to do the infields, the only thing left to take care of on those fields would be outfield grass only on baseball and softball. The rest should be like turf or, I'm gonna say, very minimal, until you have to do some replacements at some point in time in the many years, hopefully many years to come. So, we'll talk more about this next month. And then, yeah, this month, obviously, you can feel free to contact me as needed. We have spent a lot of time, and Lori's here today, in talking a little bit about health and absence guidelines. Again, terrific news with what's happening with us. I'm going to actually pull up Lori's report here today. We're in, like I say, really good shape overall. A little bit of middle school flu going around, which is, like I say, very, very minimal, but no COVID cases, students or staff. Almost 2 months now. Is that about right? So a month and a half, pushing in and out, closer maybe to the 2 month range, but we are not antigen testing kids. We haven't, and the staff for a month and a half to 2 months now. With that being said, we've had discussions and have been talking about what should we do. So there is an adjusted document. Can you pull that up on the screen by chance? We can basically look at one of two things that we can do. One, we can do an adjustment to our last health absence guidelines. And I think, Christy's gonna pull it up, thank you. We can do an adjustment to this, and these were the things that we talked about as far as adjusting. And this has the blessing of Dr. Sawyer, as well as Carl Lee. Carl's our new county health director, taking over for Lindsay Payer, and our administrators and directors. I've shared this also with the COVID advisory committee. And we can take this document and look at it in this adjusted manner with the strikeouts, and come up with, like I say, this adjusted document. Or the second option we can do is say, guys, we're really looking at that quote-unquote least restrictive environment that we've talked about all along. Do we just go back to business as usual? We bring out these documents if needed, hopefully never to be needed again, ever. They stay on the server and you just don't even have to bring them out ever. So there's kind of your two options right now as far as what we could do moving forward. We can keep this adjusted document or make any other adjustments that you see that may need to be there. Do this for the rest of this year, come back in August and reconvene and determine what we need to do. Or we can say, we're just gonna go away from the health absence guidelines and go back to the quote-unquote business as usual. Lori, I don't know if you have anything you want to add, administrators, directors. I did did not hear anything from the COVID advisory committee. I sent this out Saturday to them. I said, please give me your feedback. I thank them so much for their service. I say, you guys don't understand how important you are with your discussions and conversations. And the board greatly appreciates that, because we don't end up with sensational YouTube moments from board meetings with patrons that are angry, fired up, upset. We don't see that here, and I think a lot of it has to do with how we've communicated over the past 2 years. And while everybody may not have agreed 100% on how we've done things, we've done it with I would say, the best interest of trying to keep kids in school, and we have done a remarkable job. I'll stack it up against any school district anywhere, being on site, learning what we've done. So with that, I'll just ask if you have questions.
Do we have another document that talks about like fever, vomiting, diarrhea, be out for 24 hours? Yeah. So I don't think we need this, because that's basically all it says.
The only-
Got something out, yeah, sorry, no,
The only thing I see difference is turn the water fountain back on.
right.
I mean, this says we're leaving water fountains off, and I think if we revert to old guidelines, it's just, if your stick stay home, wash your hands, don't, be fever free. The only difference, I think, is this COVID absence guideline, health absence guideline says we're gonna turn off the water fountains.
Does it?
Yeah, it does in this case.
Oh. Gotcha.
I think kids would be for water fountains being turned back on.
Yeah, little kids.
Yeah, kids. Free water.
Make water messes.
We don't have a lot of water bottles brought to school.
After school is also good for the water. Back on,
Okay.
it's-
Yeah,
We could.
They go a long time without drinking water sometimes, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Other questions or comments from anybody?
No, I kinda think that kids being, as it warms up, going after recess and stuff, use water fountains, and get back in, it'd be nice, so.
Yeah.
I would be in favor of going to a regular guideline like we had before.
I think that's what would happen. If you don't turn them on, it can
Yeah.
make kids all over the bathroom and
Oh.
get under the faucet too, so same thing.
Dirty hands.
I don't think.
And we provide, yeah, we have cups, but, yeah.
do we need a motion, or you just need us to
Well,
say?
I would say no motion, because we've kind of talked about this as doing as we've needed to.
Yeah.
And I think it seems like everybody, I'm seeing a lot of nodding of the heads and in agreement that this is kind of the direction that we should go to. So we'll put out something in social media that kind of, hey, we're back to normal, we're back to the old way of doing business. So we can put that information out, and we can dust off that old document that was our previous way of doing business 2 years ago. And we can get that out through the website with Christy and Doug, and social media, Facebook, Twitter, and go from there.
Sounds good. Any other questions or comments, feedback? Okay,
That's all I have. Anything else for me?
okay, move on to any board reports, anybody have anything you'd like to discuss? Move on to results monitoring report. Lots of data there for all the extra stuff. I love that we obviously have kids involved, because that, I think Matt says it all the time, it's the direct tie to all those activities to academic success too, so. Any questions or discussion on the results monitoring, results report?
No, I did wonder, like, with the numbers going up in weightlifting, I know it's more popular, but when we talked during linkage, the teachers were talking about, which I know just because I was in high school, but with the requirements changing, that you don't have to have chemistry and you don't have to have some higher level math, I wondered if some kids were like, okay, good, then I'm gonna choose weightlifting or something like that,
Yeah. If they're not out and about doing interns or going to foothills, they're gonna have to take stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll have a few of those. So some electives will go, but, overall, the electives will be down.
they just talked about how since you don't have to have chemistry, you know, kids are like, why take it if I don't have to have it to go to Division I school or whatever, and so then they're just,
That's a whole other problem.
Yeah,
yeah, well, I mean, I
yeah,
had,
there's a huge problem there with that, you know, that's why there's been questions about weighted grades and some things like that, that is probably gonna come up, because, you know, kids are gonna take easier and easier roads, and, you know, then there's those kids that we know need to be taking the challenge, and they're not doing it, you know, we were all kids, and you know, if we weren't challenged, you know, we weren't gonna try to be challenged if we could get out of something. So I worry about that, I really worry about the major classes, the trig, the calc, the physics, the chemistry, those kind of classes. Because we're down right now in those numbers.
You can't convince a senior that you're gonna do this later.
What?
really,
You don't.
everyone that lives in my house, they're looking at
I think that's I'm gonna say this, that's where the individual plan of study piece will come into play with people like Crystal Eckton and Donna Boland in the counseling department. So if a kid says, for example, I wanna be a veterinarian, but I'm not gonna take physics, chemistry, science, I'm gonna take those advanced science, well, wait a minute, it's a disconnect there. If they wanna be in a certain area, but aren't willing to get challenged in an environment that's probably the most comfortable environment for them, where they've got support in a high school setting with people they know and their parents doing their laundry for them and helping out, versus maybe not always doing their laundry, but cooking meals, and you know, you've got that supportive environment where if you go to college, you may have a grad assistant to teach in a class, and it may be kind of tough. So that's gonna be, I guess, the importance of IPS in the future, aligning with what you want to do as a student in the future with the classes you need to be taking at Burlington High School, or internships, or Flint Hills Technical College, or whatever the case might be. So, good point. Yeah, there's some numbers in there too, from the teacher linkage that I know they, as far as the different, you know, activities as well as classes, electives, you know, and I think there's some comments at the end, as far as updating the overall piece of that report.
A lot of information, any other discussion?
Oh, I did on Spanish. With it being, I mean, our numbers are down, with it being, hot the way it is, I mean, I don't, what if you say?
You know, the numbers didn't go down much, you know, with the enrollment piece, or, they're fairly close. I have to go back and look to see. I think they're down a little bit, but it's partly the classes that are coming too. I don't like how we teach. I mean, I don't like it. I'm not saying they don't have some ability to learn, but we only have 3 classes of it right now, and a half-time teacher, and who would you get? And we can't find a full teacher for it. I don't know the answer, guys. I really wish I could say I knew the answer to it. You know, you could decide you throw it out there, but then you better have somebody that can teach something besides Spanish, you know, to do it, and then you're hiring somebody and.
who does it now?
What's that?
Who's in there now with them?
The teachers, there's a teacher 1 hour, yeah.
Right, but the teacher's virtual, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but we
Kids
also
don't
have a
have a
teacher, we have a supervising teacher in there.
Who is it?
Deborah, Chris Barble, and Renee Cooper.
Oh, they just take turns or something?
No, we have 3 hours of it, and
Oh,
so they're
one
in
per-
there with, that's where that class goes.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
If you know a halftime, we, you know, that you think would be good. I would be in favor
have to be Spanish or can it be in any foreign language?
It could be anything.
It's just Spanish, isn't it?
Spanish.
And then I think they have to take, if it was like, for example, if they were licensed in Chinese, they'd have to take a practice for Spanish, the way I understand it, yeah.
Okay.
And who knows, people.
And it's killed us because Spanish is no longer required, you know, it's
College,
along
right.
with those things.
Mhm.
It's just, you know, there's certain things that's, and I think the state is getting ready to put a committee together to restudy graduation requirements in the next year. So keep that in the back of your mind, so you're gonna probably see some additional things that might be looked at and some things that may be taken off. I think you're gonna see some type of finance class eventually as a requirement. I don't know where it's gonna be at, you know, we can do that anyway, but I think that's gonna be one of them that is a required class and stuff like that. So, but you'll see that survey probably, because they're putting people on it right now. If I was still here, I would like to be on that for that graduation requirement piece, but it's gonna be a big study by the state.
But they might want some retired people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, they might have to go. They need you. They need you.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, those are great questions. Those are good things for you guys to be aware of. And I appreciate you asking those kind of questions. And we discuss, Donna and I discuss things every day. We're just trying to put together a schedule right now, and it's hard to put together a schedule. And based upon, we're waiting for individuals to come forth. You know, we'll look, I think the business piece probably has the best opportunity to get somebody, because you could do an intern to teach if you were a business major and graduated with a business degree and was willing to go back and start doing the intern to teach program. And, 4 days, Wichita State, there's a lot of schools that are doing that now, but it's a lot easier if you have that degree to do that. We even have a couple of those now. We have one in my building right now that's doing that, but she's doing it in a special area, so.
Any other questions or comments?
Make a motion to accept the results to monitor and report concerning physical education, performing arts, visual arts, and foreign language as reasonable progress towards meeting the board's results policies.
Second.
Motion accept, and a second for accepting the results policy, we can vote on our computer. Motion passes 7-0. Move on to contracts, approvals, and appointments. First one is KSB dues.
And this is just, again, just the renewal, the yearly membership renewal. There's some information there in your Word Docs program. Very helpful, the assistance that we get from our KSB membership.
Looks like it's comparable last year.
They do a good job of keeping prices very similar, so that's good.
Motion to approve the KSB membership renewal amount of $9,935.88.
Second. And we can vote on our computers. passes 7-0. Go on to KSB Legal Assistance Fund.
And that's the additional piece that we utilize again whenever we have questions that arise for legal type issues. We use this quite often just to make sure we're doing everything we can to make sure we stay out of harm's way. We'll just say that, but again, it's very, very helpful. If I remember right, I think it says remains the same, so this amount is the same as last year, so that's a yes. And again, they have that consultation piece for you as board members, if you ever want to talk to them or have a need to talk to them, or we have to pull them up on the phone or via Starleaf for any communications. So with that being said, very good to have this support from them.
I'm going to approve the KSB Legal Assistance Fund in the amount of $2,300.
I'll second.
Vote on it. There it is. Motion passes 7-0. This kind of ties back into the report with our science, Spanish we were just talking
Yes.
about. There's a document there for Greenbush Blended Learning MOU.
Yes.
And it talks about Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. Said 3 sections there. There's a couple of Spanish 1 classes and a Spanish 2.
And you have to have this turned in to get on their list. And you have to have it now so that you can put them into the classes, because if not, you're putting in them late, you may not have a choice, and then you have to revamp all this stuff. So we got it in early, so we can get the classes that we want at that point in time.
And we are going to continue to evaluate this method.
Yeah.
In year 2, we'll see how things go. You know, we may decide that this is the way that we will continue. And we may end up deciding we want to try to advertise for a part-time Spanish person, whatever's 50%, a 0.5 Spanish and a 0.5, whatever our potential needs are. It's always challenging to get those to fit sometimes, as you know and understand with your openings. So, but for now, we definitely think that this is the best route to go for year 2 and just see how it goes and evaluate it. And there is a price increase for this year, so that's something we're cognizant of too.
What was it this year?
Oh gosh,
I think it went up about $50 per year.
I think it was,
Something like
For
that.
next year.
Yeah, for next year, or for this year.
it was a slight price increase, but I think it was $400 if I'm not mistaken per student.
Yeah, it was a little over 3.
Anybody have any other comments or questions or ideas about finding a special 0.5 teacher that can do this in business?
Motion to approve the Greenbush Blended Learning Memorandum of Understanding for the purpose of delivering foreign language instruction to Burlington High School students for the 2022-2023 school year in the amount of $450 per student per semester.
Second.
Motion and second, we can vote on our computers. Motion passes 7-0. Move on to CLI.
And this is just, again, information for you regarding the CLI renewal. A reminder, Southern Coffee County has decided to get out of the CLI process. They are going a different route. They're going to use a curriculum leadership, or I shouldn't say curriculum leadership. They're using a curriculum person through Greenbush I'm not gonna say it's an exactly similar process to what we're doing, but they've decided that they're gonna go a different direction. And so that puts us in a scenario where we will be us and only us in that CLI process. You can see the cost, the dollar amount is just, with us just bearing the whole cost, is just gonna be about $4,300 approximately more, because we're at this process, we're the part in the process where it's a lot of revisions, a lot of just taking what we've done in the past 7, 8, 9 years and revising what we're doing. So with that being said, I don't know if you have any questions.
What was it last year?
13.
No, last year's.
No, it's
Nine.
Excuse me.
9, yeah.
Yes.
So are we actually getting more product from them, or are we just paying SEC's part?
For that amount, it's us and only us. Before, well, last year, our half of the fee was like half of 18,300, I think, so that was the 9150 is what we paid. So, I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Yeah, no,
or
I see
not.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Our involvement is just much less because it's, again, more of a revision type scenario of what we're doing. We're just making any updates to curriculum as we get information from the state, and our people locally are seeing whatever they need to adjust for our students, for the learning process, so. And Stacy Bruton continues to be a terrific person to work with. She is very flexible. The evening sessions for CLI to work with staff, either as individuals or small groups, either in person or via Starleaf, has been, I would say, a huge plus.
what's I don't know, I mean, why did SEC want to go to Greenbush? Was it just easier or something cheaper or better product?
No, I think they just want to have something a little different. And Matt Thompson did not express exactly the reasons when he told me, but I think their staff's interested in trying something different. And it still would be a fee through Greenbush.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're still going to have they'll have a person that helps direct them, very similar to what we have. So.
I don't know if that was a better deal. What we don't know about, I don't know. I don't know, we've had a lot of conversation about curriculum director in the past and CLI and the cost of it, and this is cheaper than putting the onus on the administrators to do it, or hiring someone to do it.
So they work in, instead of hiring somebody for 80, 90, 100,000 a year, we pay this and then we use them as a resource.
Right.
Correct.
And it's, from my understanding, it's kind of someone to administer, and the staff does the work, and so they know the curriculum, and then they adjust as necessary. I mean, CLI is not developing our curriculum for us, it's us doing it with guidance of, am I speaking right about that?
She's a facilitator.
Yeah, essentially.
So you guys happy with
I
what
mean,
you're
I
doing?
ventured a bit, I will just tell you, my guess is that SEC's doing BYOC, that's the curriculum model that Greenbush has used in the past. I did that at my previous district, and there was no facilitator, it was like, here's an outline of what you're gonna do, teachers do all the work.
Do some stuff,
You
yeah.
know, it could have changed since then, because I've been here for a while, but,
You prefer this style of CLI?
Stacy does a good job. What I like about Stacy is we're pretty blunt and honest with her. So like earlier this year, there was some questions about assessments. Our staff, a few years ago, spent a lot of time writing assessments. We weren't really finding that was meeting our needs. I mean, I'll speak for my building. I mean, we pretty much told her that, like, we spent all this time doing these assessments, and it's really not working for us, and so, I went to CCC's, like, we worked it out, so we're gonna do what does work for us, and how we make sure that that's still meeting the curriculum. I mean, I feel like we can be pretty open with her. You know, I think it's, from my point of view, it's very nice. Like, we also had a big debate, the elementary ELA committee, we had a big debate about the sacred book list that we were having some arguments within our building about. And it was nice to have her as an outside facilitator helping us problem solve that. And we came to a solution with that. So, I mean, I know the teachers haven't loved every step of the process, but I think we're really past a lot of that because we have the curriculum in place. We're just doing updates now. I mean, they've done most of the dirty work.
Yes.
So I mean, I do like how Stacy facilitates things with us. That's my personal opinion.
Sure. Any other comments or questions? I know that, I mean, it kind of sounds like maybe we're getting a good deal by just paying 50% of the price last year and getting more of that because we're a bigger district, but this year it looks like that's been adjusted. So we gotta pay more. Or if anybody has any other ideas or questions about how else this could look. We've talked ad nauseam about that in the past.
I'll make a motion to approve the CLA contract for the 2022 and 2023 school year in the amount of $13,475.
Second.
Motion is second, we can vote on our computers. Motion passes 6-1. Move on to dairy bid.
There's your one dairy bid. We have one for milk. So if we want milk next year, there's your bid. I don't know if you have any questions. Christy is a part of that with Diana Hess, and those two do a great job working together with food service, and just awesome team.
I do have a question / comment
Okay.
that I kind of want to get out there. So next year, the free lunch for everybody is going to be gone, right?
Correct.
Okay. So
Yes.
that means at an April meeting
And breakfast.
and breakfast.
Yes.
So
When I share that kindergarten roundup all day on Friday, I mean, I do think it's important for us to be sharing that
I
information.
agree. I mean, that's some people that is an expense that has been gone for 2 years.
Sure.
And it's going to come back.
Well, the form that they're going to have to fill out, the home economic survey, it's
Right.
going back to the old process as well.
Yeah, she haven't done that. Wow.
We've always had Highland food, dairy food, right?
I think as long as I've been here, I don't know.
It's the same truck.
Probably.
Not since you were in elementary.
Same
but-
cows too, same cows.
Not the same driver, right?
No.
I'll make a motion to approve a bid with Highland Dairy Foods Company LLC for the 2022-23 dairy bid as presented.
Second.
And we vote on our computers for buying milk.
There you go.
Good, lots more options. No, you do yours, sorry.
Motion passes 7-0.
And we had one bid for hay.
Yep. And it's a good bid.
Yes.
One bid, but I think last year was maybe a little lower than that. And we've had it as low as like $12, I think, an acre, so that's a reasonable bid, I think.
And that money goes back to the FFA program, remember, we put it in their account.
Motion to accept the bid from Aaron Skillman for hay bid in the amount of $29.41 per acre.
Second,
We vote on our computers.
how many acres did it?
But is this gonna?
About 17 acres is what we have there.
So I thought it was 17.
That's their, you know.
Motion passes 7-0. Move on to approval of bid for bathroom partitions.
Right, and this is, again, a company called Partitions Plus that we get the partitions from, as far as Great Plains putting in the bid for this. So the partitions come pre-made, and basically, it's, again, we're just talking about partitions only. Those are there's 10 different restroom projects, if you will, at elementary, middle, and high school. This will take care of, I think, we've got all partitions, restroom partitions that'll be done, new, nice, everything operational, working. And we did a few last summer, and I think that's where you heard some people say, hey, these are really nice, we need them everywhere, and so yes, it's time. So having said that, that's that dollar amount. There is a set, again, installation is separate. Installation will depend on how many of these you approve. If you approve all 10, for that grand total of $72,571.47, then the installation will be approximately $18,000 to install those.
And they'll have them installed before school starts. right?
That, yes, that is the plan, and there's not a delay right now, as far as we have been told, that things are running smoothly and timely in the bathroom partition world, so that's good.
Are they the same size as our current ones?
Yes, same size, they will have kind of a dark gray look to them inside. You've seen some of the new ones that we put in, yes.
I just was wondering, like, our new epoxy floors, they're gonna be drilling new holes in them.
They will, after the floors have been cured, yes, if needed, if they don't have the same spots, so yes. But it'll be after the curing has occurred for the floor.
Is there a penalty clause in there if it's not done on time?
Not for this, because it's an installation piece.
Okay.
The partitions being, as far as from the company, we have not put I'm gonna say a clause, if you will, for them not being to us in a certain time frame. We haven't done that in a shipped manner, if you will. So now, as far as if we do for the installation, we can put in a penalty clause similar to what we did with the VHS office remodel, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
I think so. Once the petitions are arrived, then we should have an expectation that they need to be installed within so much time.
We'll put that into an agreement. Okay.
Then
And
you
if
kind
they
of,
have to make new holes, the
yeah, I mean,
other ones
that's,
are repaired and
that's
filled,
what
and I think that just looks terrible when there's
Holes.
holes in the floor.
And, paid on completion?
We will, since that's strictly labor, I'm gonna say that would be paid on completion, on the install part, yes.
and for my 2 cents, I don't want them to be green or blue or yellow. I want, let's go
Red or
colors.
gray.
Yeah, they're gray, they're gonna be a dark gray. They're gonna be the same color as what we did last summer, so
And
yes.
those are, where did they go last summer? Have I seen them?
Oh, I'm trying to think, we did some at the high school commons restaurant,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, those
So, yep, yes.
So with this motion, we're approving all the projects?
Yes, all 10,
Just the petitions.
yes.
Yeah, not,
And because the install will be under $20,000, we don't necessarily have to bid an install on that as long as it's under $20,000. Finding it is difficult, and this will be the next bid. Finding it's difficult to find people, construction and working installation, so.
is it a good football stadium?
No, but they may be timed too. I need to go. Okay.
I was at the track meet.
You know what, I can't remember, I don't think I've been in the restrooms out there
It's time.
ever. Okay, all right. Thanks for that. Thanks for
Right,
that.
now,
Okay.
they can't do that.
That was on there.
Okay. Add to capital outlay for the next year, unless we can't make it, then we need to, okay. Good to know, thank you for that info.
Motion to approve the bid from Great Plains Design for bathroom partitions in the amount of $72,571.47.
Second.
Motion second, we can vote on our computers for the bathroom partitions. Motion passes 7-0. We move on to the BHS office remodel.
You have three different numbers there for project one, project two, project three. Project one is the main office, project two is the mail room, and project three is the break room. We only had one bid, and that was from Great Plains to do that. It's my recommendation that we just do the main office project one at this point in time. I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna say those other two rooms aren't needed, but I would rather wait and see if maybe there's maybe a different way we can go that may be a little bit less expensive than about $18,000 approximately, a little bit more than $18,000 on that. So anyway, you're talking about main office counters, you're talking about new countertops, the office desks are gonna be built-ins, if you will. They'll have a back, and you guys saw this when we took the capital outlay walk. Like I say, lots of built-ins, lots of space, lots of countertop workspace. It won't be kind of just hodgepodge put together, if you will. There is on this job, that May 31st is when they can start on this job, and they need to be done by July 22nd. A late fee of $200 per day will be assessed after July 22nd, unless there's certain materials and can be proven kind of, in a scenario where there's an issue with materials coming in, wood, countertops, whatever the case might be. But there is a $200 per day late fee assessed. So maybe my recommendation to do project one, the office is just in need of some work. And then we'll also look to, part of what we have budgeted in would be new carpet and painting in there as well, so it would give it a nice refreshed look in there. Questions?
Is that also done through Great Plains?
That is.
Are they general contractor or are they?
Yes, yes,
So they'll
general
provide
contract.
materials and then hire electricians and stuff?
Correct, yes. And we will look to pay out, like, I'm gonna say, a third to start with for materials so they can get wood, countertops, things like that. Probably a third we'll pay out after a month on the job, and then at the end, we'll pay out that final third, so we'll do it in installments.
So if we do just the main office,
Yes.
you said new flooring,
Yeah, carpet would be a
so where
different.
does that go to? Like, where would they have the cutoff to then?
It's gonna be new carpet throughout the whole office area, everywhere. There's
So
like,
like, principal's
Yes.
offices would not have or would have?
would have new carpet, yes.
Okay, so
And
it
that,
makes sense.
and that's separate from this, so this is not carpet, this is not a carpet project.
Okay, gotcha.
A separate carpet
I thought you were
company.
saying, I was like, that has all that in there.
No, I'm sorry.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
That
there's,
was-
I
yeah.
think, 2 or 3 different carpet styles in the office at the high school. I'm not quite
Right.
sure how they pieced it together, but they did. So,
okay.
I would just say I have some work recently being done by Great Plains, actually 2 houses, and I'm not very satisfied with the work. Number one is the timeliness of the work, and it's been pretty rough. I'm still trying to deal with it, so I'm not in favor. I feel like, we're gonna be pushing to the end, and
Yeah, you get good contacts to get a bid for.
well, I don't just went out, so I don't know, there is some, I think there is some.
It's in the paper, right? I think I saw the paper.
Uh,
It's on the paper, I don't know,
Yeah,
what else went out on the, from there.
And I called Kitchen Trends out of Greatly, and they don't have a construction person. They said we can bid the materials. I'm always leery of somebody bidding the materials and then you have somebody else install it and they don't quite jive.
I knew it was an S.
I'm kind of leery too with where we're sitting with the local general contractor that had someone not do great work for them. And we're fighting that a little too with the Forest High School.
yeah.
Just kind of gun shy now, I guess.
Can we reopen the bid for another month?
We could, you can reject these and that's fine. If you want to. Or you would need to reject the bid.
Yeah, I'd like to see some other options,
Is there any other
I mean,
discussion about it? I mean, we're not,
yeah,
time frame wise, if we do something in May, they still start at the end of the month, we got the summer to do the work. There's not a lot of special materials, I think, for this. I mean, it's
it's wood.
furniture, wood, stuff.
Yeah, like you said, we've gotten burned recently with some bad contractors and.
It's easy to sit, say you can get the materials and then find electricians later or not, or stuff like that, so. It would be nice to see a turnkey, entity come in and could provide the service themselves with crews they have, but I don't know where that is.
Well, I guess I want to make sure, quick clarify, I think with Great Plains, I think Ron Strader is planning on doing all of the work. I don't think there's not any electrical coming in that I think he would have to subcontract. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think his plan is to do all the work there. So anyway, but still, again, you guys have the ability to, you can reject and we can repost and see.
It's my opinion to reject the bids.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to reject all bids.
So James made the motion to go ahead and reject all bids for the VHS main office remodel and open them back up.
It might take that we have to send it to certain people if we wanna try to.
Absolutely.
All we got was Great Plains, if we wanna broaden our horizon, we might have to send it to directly.
Well, I sometimes wonder if it was just in the local paper, how many people are gonna
Yeah.
try to look at that and see, but I don't, I know it's difficult to find anybody these days.
Can you see it?
So, because you're basically looking at countertops and cabinetry and that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Yeah.
So do you still need a second?
Yeah, we'll still need a second.
I'll second, just that we set on it for a month and open it back up and see if we can get some other bids in. Then we might not.
Right, and it'll still be
And then Ron second.
time to them to complete work, construct work at the end of that. I mean, the time's there, it's not
Okay.
that time sensitive. So motion is second to reject all bids for the Great Plains design for project one at the VHS office. We can vote on our computers. when it comes up.
Yeah.
Reach out to them.
Motion passes 7-0.
I don't have anything for personnel. I don't have anything for personnel unless you guys do. You guys have a couple of supplemental assignment documents that you will look at and get back in touch with me as needed.
Starting next week, 20th.
Yeah, and the negotiations is next Wednesday.
Yep.
So we'll have more information after that. Receive receive letters, or we've exchanged letters and set a time, so. Move on to, debriefing items.
I appreciate the teachers coming and spending an hour, and Lori here,
Yes.
volunteering her time.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Good job, everybody.